And here are some thoughts and theories on the Tower of Babel, this unbelievable place of our deep subconscious that exists in the Bible, beyond, and who knows. Now these two paintings are from Peter Bruegel the Elder around 1560s, 1563. He did a great and a little Tower of Babel, and he may have done more. A lot of people have done these as well, but he shows just such amazing detail, such a theoretical construction of this land and how they would have constructed it. There's so many different details here. Unbelievable artwork, one of the greatest, one of my favorites of all time, and there's just so much mystery here. And other people have represented the Tower of Babel as well. They all do it a little bit differently, always with a great structure, and all the visions always show some different things in the background, and boats, definitely near water so that boats could come and bring materials. Now this is one of my favorite ones that I've ever seen, and it's from the book that I'm going to talk about in a lot more depth, but this vision is absolutely ridiculous. This tower is an amazing detail and stands perfectly straight. Peter Bruegel's is a little slanted, but this one's incredible. And the fact that it absolutely dwarfs these buildings that are just blowing all of our minds today of some crazy Tartarian, amazingly incredible society and civilization. And these buildings are tiny next to this one. So this one makes me think that it actually existed in the past. It's an unbelievable picture. And here is again some of the clips from some of the books. You can look at some of these in the search engine of archives.org and you'll be able to find some information that I ended up finding, and a lot of it again is Jesuit written, and some wasn't, some Bible, most of it is Jesuit written, and just different other people that authors had theorized throughout time. This is a really ancient topic, and it is unbelievable the fact that it could have been a possibility. You know, were these people building something that went all the way up into the heavens, or space, or whatever's up there? I have no idea. I've never been up there. I've only been in a plane. But you know, could they have been capable of building these towers that went to another place, that absolutely maybe connected in some form of energetic stream up there, or you know, maybe there's something at a certain altitude. I have no idea. Maybe people were different back then. Gravity was different. The magnetosphere was different. You never know. People could have been tapping into the ether, and it may have been easier to build these things. There may have been some kind of construction tool and mechanism and machinery that Peter Bruegel couldn't have imagined, and anyone couldn't have imagined. And again, all these stories come, and we hear them from the Bible, which has been manipulated, and we hear them from all these other books, but we don't know. And these people are absolutely astonishing. These people look like giants in these things, and I wonder if they show us in movies like Gods of Egypt and things, which is one of the best representations I've ever seen. The director from The Crow, Alex Proyas, I believe, directed the movie Gods of Egypt, and it really is one of the best representations I've ever seen of someone showing gods mixed with regular sized people. And that theory is possible. It really has to be when you see all these buildings. Like, can humans really do this? Can we quarry all these giant stones and bring them to these places, build these star forts in the middle of harbors? Then there's the mystery of how they carried these stones, like many ton blocks in boats, and then taking them off the boat without the boat tipping. Like, how do you balance that? And another thing to think about with the Tower of Babel is I always think about the Jainism structure of the universe, which I drew in this, which I call Jainiverse. But they believed in an above ground, like an overworld that was up there, like different realms that existed as you went higher. And you know, maybe we knew how to build into those. Like, these civilizations existed. These can't be denied. It always has to be factored in with what our biblical and Jesuit history has become now. You know, you can't forget that stuff. The ancients are amazing. And one of the big things about the Tower of Babel is the language. They say that languages spread, that all of them existed. There was one language, and then when the Tower of Babel broke, they all split into different ones, and different alphabets were formed, and different things like that. I believe the story goes something along those lines, which is interesting. You know, it leads towards this one cultural thing that they like, you know, they want us to have now. But back in the day, you know, the thoughts about it, I have a feeling their civilization could have handled it a little better than ours. And this is again another tree of Noah. But you know, and if it all stemmed from this, you know, what was before Noah? Was there anyone before Noah? There could have been many of these civilizations that existed throughout time, and we don't even know about any of those histories. There could be things that we have just never even dug up, never even come close to digging up. And they all have different great views on the universe, and that's an amazing thing to wonder, because this, we don't know which civilization explored the furthest, and we never will. We really, hopefully we do somehow, but it seems like we may never know exactly the truth about these ancient cultures, and they all have to be factored in together, because they all play a part in this human, or whatever we are, story. And maybe we are the pets, like in Fantastic Planet or Strange Planet or whatever, but this one I think is amazing too. It seems like it's honoring a god. There were probably, they've talked about Poseidon's statue and a bunch of other people's statues that were just massive, and who are they honoring? Like, really, who would they do it? And labyrinths, another very mysterious thing. This always makes me think of The Shining too. Always looking for a certain meaning in that movie. It's been a movie that's stuck with me, my wife, my friends forever, and it's very mysterious, like a lot of this stuff. And the Overlook Hotel, very similar to the Tower of Babel. These labyrinths were found in this Tower of Babel book, and they play an important part, a meditational path or something, representing a mystery of probably our history, and all the different arrows, and how there's only one possibility, and these monuments that have existed throughout time. The Egyptians, these civilizations existed. They have to be factored in. We don't know what they were capable of. These pyramids could have been some of the smaller remnants of their civilization. And people are great at destroying things, especially if it could be worth value, or if it will hide a past that is incredible. Something that they can't control, something that without their knowledge would accelerate the path of the modern human in masses. And they really do not want to have the masses wake up. They'd pay a lot to stifle that, and do a lot. And this building I really love, because it's just unbelievable. What a great representation of a tower. And it's almost like these were potential, like, star forts. There's just different kinds of towers of Babel, and there could have been. This is a step method. Maybe there was some that were just continuous steps, giant buildings, and they could go underneath for a long time, and could have been built at any period in time by any civilization. There might have been a whole civilization that built things like that, or built towers the way they built pyramids, did so many different things. And then even the pyramids could have been based on some of those ancient things, like them trying later after this old civilization, the original civilization, whatever it was. And this is Mount Ararat up top, very, very sacred mountain. This almost reminds me of like Angkor Wat or different places like that. And those cultures had completely different visions than the Jesuit and the Christian and whatnot religions. Totally different. Now this one may very well have to suspend reality a little bit, but imagine that this is possible. That they figured out a method to do this, maybe even grow something like this, so that you could, like, who knows, maybe this was a growth, maybe this was just the way it was when we were here, what? I just don't understand. The Overlook Hotel right at the top, this thing just comes out of the North Pole, right there, right where Mount Meru, magnetic north, all this mystery stuff that we're not allowed to see is, and there's this tower here. Just happens to pop right out of there, and just a couple different views, and how could this thing be spinning around? Like, it almost leads towards us being stationary, the center of everything. And look at that, the Overlook Hotel right at the top, the very top. Imagine being at the top of the Tower of Babel. That might be something I might try to draw. But look at this, all these languages becoming, all these places, all these palaces, just a sacred zone. It's like its own mandala right in the center, a very powerful thing. And it could have been an energy source or something. That could have been an ether generator or anything. We have no idea. And here's some more selections from the text by Athenius Kircheri, which is where I got most of this stuff from, a book called Tower of Babel. And this one appears to have a lot of high numbers, so I believe it talks about blocks and different kinds of things, maybe even money that was used, but I think it's more of in blocks and the different structures and formulas and different materials that were used and the numbers of how much. This one I believe shows a chronology. It shows like Xerxes and some different kings on the left. It goes up to like either the year 2995 or 1300. Can't really tell. It's very interesting. Check it out. And this as well shows another thing. It's like the Tabula Chronologia. So it shows like some different time periods and different numbers around it, years built maybe how long it took to build them. But there's all kinds of different things. I can't really understand the language. I can translate some, but the symbols, it seems like the birth of the alphabet came around here, or like something, these coins, they had a certain type of currency there, or they used just these different symbols. All different people were represented there. It's almost like a UN or like a World Trade Zone or something. Maybe an interdimensional or you know, planetary or whatever, planetary transition trade zone, or just power center. You never know. This thing is so mysterious, so incredible, and I didn't want to go into like too much Bible talk or anything. I really just wanted to be theoretical, because who really knows? I mean, this stuff is magnificent. I love this structure. So cool. May have to draw this too, but you never know. I wonder what it was like to be here. Imagine looking up and seeing that, being at the bottom and looking up and seeing something almost miles, definitely miles into the sky. It'd be so fun. You could climb it, explore it, the world that would be in it. It would be a civilization inside it. It would be so amazing to wonder these things and imagine what it's like to be involved in this time period. And I don't know, I hope we can just at least dig a little deeper and figure out some stuff and piece things together, because the clues are still probably out there. There's a way to figure it out. And, you know, well, art at least provides us with a realm of tapping into something and trying to think about it in a unique way. And that's definitely one of the miracles of art, and I'm sure Peter Bruegel the Elder and so many other ancients experienced it as well. But when you are in the creative zone and expressing yourself as beautifully and freely as possible, it is an indescribable feeling that is just beyond anything imaginable. It's the best. I love to do it personally, and this is a creation of me and my wife with kind of a tree that's extending from a save Earth mentality all the way up through the dome and beyond into a beautiful realm, and a very animal and imagination oriented. And this is called DNI, which expresses the power of our human mind and experience to just propel ourselves beyond into anything, into any realm imaginable, beyond Earth, beyond the metaphysical, into any dimension. And when we explore these different concepts with art and we free ourselves and we think about it, something really magical happens. I recommend it to everyone, and it allows us to tap into something, a source of knowledge that is ancient, especially when drawing any type of ancient culture or any type of ancient concept. The magic that comes into your mind when drawing these things is unbelievable and unexplainable. Have a great one, everybody. There's more to come.